everybody, it's your girl Yo-Yo, and today I'm here to talk about how my first month as a junior full stack software developer apprentice has gone. So jumping right into it, the first couple weeks I basically was doing a lot of compliance training, but I did start my bootcamp with Multiverse. So Multiverse is a third party that Verizon works closely with, and a lot of other companies work with them too. And they pretty much have a partnership where once Verizon hires on the apprentices, they will go ahead and train them. So they work with a lot of different companies. Some people who are in my cohort that I have met work for Box, Citizens Bank. So those are just some of the companies they work with, but it was really cool because I learned a lot about Multiverse. I think it's a really cool opportunity because even if you don't go to a coding boot camp, you can directly apply to some of their apprentice programs. They do have certain criteria that you have to meet. I don't want to give any misinformation, so I recommend you just go on their website to check that out. I'm gonna link it below. I do think there's like age requirements and things like that, but there's multiple ways to get involved with them. So like, you know how I did, I went to a coding boot camp, I was hired on as an apprentice, and then once I became an apprentice, they partnered with the company I was hired with to provide their curriculum and their boot camp training. But you can also go directly to Multiverse and apply for their apprenticeships, and they can connect you with a company. So you pretty much get paid while you learn, which is really awesome. And they have, basically the whole goal is for people to have an alternative to going and getting like a 4-year degree who are interested in these different career pathways. They do have different things other than software development. I think it's a handful of different positions that they have, and they have different curriculums for each pathway that you go. So all the apprentices that were hired with me are not in my cohort because they might have done a different program. They might have done like digital marketing instead of software development. My program is mainly software developers, and it's a lot of people who study cybersecurity as well. So it's been really cool getting to know the other apprentices because they're all over the country. I've met so many people that I would not have otherwise met, and it's been a really good time getting to know them. Everyone has had a different pathway. Some people, so it's a couple people in my group were ex-military, and you know, they're older, they have families, and they decided to transition into tech. Then there's other people who just turned 18 and have been coding since, I think someone in my group told me that they were doing it in middle school, and I'm like, that's crazy. That's awesome though. So it's really cool to meet all these people from all these different backgrounds and see how they got here. So first of all, I do want to also say, because I have been getting some questions about the difference between an apprenticeship versus an internship. Some of the key differences between apprenticeships and internships are that apprenticeships are typically longer, while internships usually last anywhere between, you know, a few weeks to a few months. Apprenticeships can typically last a few months up to a year. In addition to that, a lot of times apprentices are compensated as if they were full-time employees. They do get, you know, health benefits and things like that, while interns typically don't receive those benefits. Interns also usually have short-term like goals to meet because they're only at the organization for a short period of time. So they might have like a project or presentation they have to do by, I don't know, their 4th or 5th week or 6th week or something. While an apprentice, because you're there for a longer time, you typically won't have like those type of projects that are due in the earlier stages. I would say that apprenticeships also offer more of a learning environment, while I think that interns typically are learning, but they're also doing a lot of hands-on work while they're there because it's like they're only there for a short period of time, while apprentices have more time to learn before they have to actually start working. So those are some of the key differences. I've also had some people ask me about the compensation. I do believe that apprentices typically get paid a little bit more than interns, but for exact salary information, I would recommend that you use this website called levels.fyi. So I'm gonna link that below too, but it's a really good website to make sure you're being compensated properly. A lot of like tech companies report, or people who work at big tech companies report salaries on there. You can search it by the company, by the level they're at, including the city. It's a bit more accurate than if you use other websites, and a lot of people in tech use this to make sure that when they're negotiating their salaries that they're being paid properly. So I definitely recommend you look at that. They do also have information on there for interns and apprentices and everything like that, so definitely take a look. Let's see what else. Oh, okay, so some of the things that I've learned in my first month here, I have got to talk to former apprentices who have gone on to become full-time for their companies. And some of the biggest pieces of advice that they've given me is to just make sure that even outside of the boot camp that I'm really like applying myself, that I'm really taking time to learn more information and coming in asking questions, and just understanding that just because I got this apprenticeship doesn't mean it ends here. Like, this is kind of just the beginning, and hopefully I will be able to do well enough to transition into a full-time role. So just really applying myself and not getting, you know, complacent. So I won't. And let's see, what else? Oh, some of the former apprentices talked about having imposter syndrome and how you just really have to overcome that, because if you're feel like everyone's smart in the room is smarter than you to the point where you don't you know, speak up, you really will do yourself a disservice because you're not contributing things that you could. And a lot of times people are discriminated against when they come from like boot camps or a non-traditional tech background, because people look at them and they're like, you know, you didn't get a computer science degree, you don't know what you're talking about. But you can't let that, you know, deter you. You have to still be able to be confident within yourself and to know that you belong here, you have a seat at the table. And it's also really important because if you just came out of a boot camp, you might have like learned something that a person who studied computer science, you know, 5 years ago didn't learn. So you might have like a fresher perspective and more to offer as well. So you have to be confident in your skill set. Also, what did they say? This is advice that I got from former apprentices. Let's see. An apprentice's job is to learn, not to be an expert. So that's good advice, because I was a little bit intimidated, like working, the team that I'll be working on, like has people who've been in the tech field for years. And I'm like, oh gosh. And they're like, don't worry, you're there to learn, absorb information, and contribute, you know, make a meaningful contribution, but like they don't expect you to be, you know, like an expert. Also, 90% of what you need to know is learned during the job. So you might go through boot camp and learn all this information, but like be focusing just on back end or just be focusing on front end. And you know, like you might be using technologies that they didn't even teach in the boot camp. So we'll have to really like just take this boot camp as kind of just like teaching us and ironing in those fundamentals, but understand that when we're actually at work is where we're gonna learn a lot more. And what else? Pretty much all that I have so far, but in general, I've been having an amazing time. I've learned a lot. This boot camp starts off with JavaScript. Usually they start off, you know, a lot of boot camps start off with HTML and CSS. They get straight to JavaScript. So I've been doing that, and it's really refreshing, and I just feel like I've been learning so much, and I really enjoy the other apprentices. Like I said, they come from all these different backgrounds, and there is a pair programming aspect of this boot camp, which makes me happy because it's really nice to see things like with a fresh set of eyes, and like just have other people's input and see different ways to do things. So I've been enjoying that. I have an amazing instructor. We have a lot of TAs. It's a lot of help and support, lots of homework and challenges. So I feel really motivated, and I also feel like there's a lot of accountability there, which, not to say other programs don't have a lot of accountability, but like when you're doing you know, mainly self-teaching, it's easy to be like, oh, I'll just do this later. But when you're like in this type of program, like they have squads, which is basically like little small groups that'll like, you have a leader and they'll like check on you and make sure you're doing well, and you'll be the leader sometimes and you have to check on everyone else, and you might be explaining things to people. And I think helping others helps you as well, because I really struggle with how to communicate technical concepts to others. I'm always calling things the thing, and I'm like, that is not the correct terminology. So ultimately, I feel like it's a lot of accountability, and it helps a lot with communication skills and communicating technical concepts to be doing this in a group. So yeah, but this bootcamp definitely focuses heavily on the technical skills. It gets almost straight into it, which I like. And my instructor has a wealth of knowledge. She's been coding since, like, I don't know, what did she say, the 70s or something? So I feel like I'm just surrounded by geniuses, and it's been really awesome. But yeah, I've had a great time. I've been really enjoying myself and learning so much. And add me on my Instagram page. I document just like when I go into the office on occasions and things like that. But it's Yo-Yo the Techie on Instagram as well. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, reach out. And best of luck to you all in your tech journeys. I love hearing when people tell me that they've been accepted or that they've got their first tech job and things like that. That's awesome. So feel free to let me know. I love those things. And have a great day. Bye.